In a powerful kingdom ruled by fear and pride, one man stood unshaken by threats, laws, and even death itself. This is the story of Daniel in the lion's den, story, not just about surviving danger, but about a faith that refuses to bow. The story takes place in the mighty kingdom of Medo-Persia, under the rule of King Darius. Now, Daniel was no ordinary man, though he was a foreigner, taken captive from his homeland years earlier. His exceptional character had propelled him to the highest ranks of the government. He was one of the king's most trusted and capable officials. Daniel was known for three remarkable things: his profound wisdom, his unwavering integrity, and his unshakable faith in God. He wasn't just good at his job. He was a man of deep moral and spiritual conviction. Because of this, King Darius saw something special in him. He planned to promote Daniel over the entire kingdom, making him the second most powerful man in the land. But this incredible blessing, this mark of favor, quickly became the seed of a bitter and dangerous jealousy. The other officials, a group of administrators and satraps, watched Daniel's rise with envy. They couldn't stand the idea of this foreigner being placed above them. Filled with resentment, they began searching desperately for a way to destroy him, to tear him down from his position of honor. They started by examining his work. They scrutinized every decision he made, every record he kept, hoping to find some mistake, some hint of corruption or negligence. They watched his personal behavior, looking for any weakness, any character flaw they could exploit. But they found nothing. His work was flawless. His life was blameless. There was no corruption, no dishonesty, no fault they could use against him. Frustrated, they realized there was only one area of Daniel's life they could attack, the one thing they knew he would never abandon, never compromise: his faith. They couldn't find fault in his service to the king, so they decided to make his service to God a crime. They devised a cunning and malicious plot. They went to King Darius with a flattering proposal, stroking his ego. They suggested that the king sign a new law, a royal decree, stating that, for the next 30 days, no one in the entire kingdom could pray to any god or any person except to King Darius himself. The punishment for breaking this law? Being thrown into a den of hungry lions? The king, likely pleased by this show of loyalty and not suspecting their true motives, signed the decree, making it an unchangeable law of the Medes and Persians. When Daniel heard that the law had been signed, he did not panic. He didn't try to hide his faith or find a loophole. He didn't compromise his principles, not even for a moment. Instead, he did what he had always done. He went to his home, to his upstairs room where the windows were open, facing toward Jerusalem, his spiritual homeland. And right there, in plain sight, he got down on his knees and prayed. He thanked God, just as he had always done. 3 times a day, every single day, without fail. His routine of devotion was more important to him than his own safety. Of course, his enemies were watching. They caught him in the act of prayer and immediately rushed to the king, eager to report Daniel's crime. They reminded Darius of the law he had just signed and pointed out that his most trusted official, Daniel, had openly defied it. When King Darius heard this, his heart sank. He was deeply distressed and filled with regret. He had been tricked, and now his friend and most valued administrator was trapped by the very law he had signed. The king respected Daniel immensely and spent the entire day trying to find a way to save him, searching for any legal loophole to undo his mistake. But the law of the Medes and Persians was absolute. Not even the king could change it. As evening fell, his options ran out. With sorrow in his voice and a heavy heart, the king gave the order. Daniel was to be thrown into the lion's den. As Daniel was led away, the king spoke words of desperate hope. "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." A large stone was rolled over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and the rings of his nobles, ensuring that no one could interfere. The king then returned to his palace for a sleepless night. He refused food, he allowed no entertainment, and he wrestled with his conscience, fasting and fearing the worst for the man he had condemned. Inside the den, surrounded by the shadows and the terrifying presence of hungry lions, Daniel was not alone. The place was designed for a swift and brutal death, a pit of ultimate fear. But in that darkness, a different power was at work. The Bible tells us that God sent an angel, and this heavenly messenger came down into that pit and shut the mouths of the lions. They became as harmless as lambs. They did not harm him. They did not touch him. What was meant to be a place of death, an execution chamber, became a sanctuary of divine protection. Daniel spent the night in perfect peace, protected by the God he refused to forsake. At the first light of dawn, after a long and agonizing night, King Darius rushed to the den. He hadn't slept, his mind tormented by the fate of his friend. He approached the sealed entrance and cried out in an anxious voice, loud enough to be heard inside, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" He waited in suspense, perhaps expecting only silence. And then, from the darkness of the pit, a calm, clear voice responded. It was Daniel. "O king, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the lions' mouths. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O king." Overjoyed, the king commanded that Daniel be lifted out of the den immediately. When they brought him into the light, they examined him closely. There was not a single scratch on him. His body was completely unharmed, because he had trusted in his God. But the story doesn't end there. Justice had yet to be fully served. The king, now fully aware of the wicked plot against Daniel, was filled with righteous anger. He ordered that the men who had maliciously accused Daniel be brought forward, along with their entire families. They were the ones who were then thrown into the lion's den, and the Bible records that before they even reached the floor of the den, the lions overpowered them, demonstrating their ferocious power. Then King Darius issued a new decree, one that would echo across his vast kingdom. He wrote to all the nations and peoples of every language, declaring that everyone must fear and honor the God of Daniel. He proclaimed, "For he is the living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed, his dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth. He has rescued Daniel from the power of the lions." Daniel survived, not because of his own strength or cleverness, but because of his unwavering faith. When the world demanded that he bowed to a human king, Daniel chose to stand firm and honor his God, and when he stood for God, God stood with him in the den of lions. This story teaches us a powerful truth. Faith doesn't always remove the lions from our path, but it reveals who is there to protect us among them. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that explores the power of faith. See you next time.